Once again, namaste to all. Um, First of all, I'll just go with the introduction of myself in very short, so that we could have a lot of time with the presentation. My name is Pawan Rai, and I'm working as a program officer at Biocourse Nepal, Biodiversity Conservation Society Nepal, and I would like to welcome all of you. I think 23 participants from different part of the world. And thank you very much for having us. So the presentation is about the coexistence of two apex predator, the snow leopard and the common leopard, within the Trans-Himalayan region of Nepal. Uh, this presentation was drawn from the combination of historical account dating back to the 1950s and extensive winter camera trap data collected between 2016 and 2023 in the Annapurna Conservation Area with an elevation of 3,100 to 4,600 meter of altitude. The study challenges conventional assumption about the recent appearance of common leopard at higher altitude being solely a result of climate change. So for this presentation, I'd like to introduce you with Dr. Paras Bikram Singh. He is a conservation ecologist from Nepal with a PhD in ecology from Chinese Academy of Science. He worked for 6 years in Annapurna Conservation Area as a conservation officer during his PhD time with Annapurna Conservation Area. Paras carried out extensive field research in Himalayas, focusing particularly on the Himalayan mox deer and Kashmir mox deer, and the obvious one, snow leopard. Paras is currently the director of Biocos Nepal, an organization dedicated to biodiversity conservation. His approach combines scientific research with community-based conservation initiative aimed to protecting threatened species. Paras' work has significantly contributed to understanding species distribution, habitat use, and coexistence dynamic in the Annapurna Himalayan region of Nepal. He has authored over 35 peer-reviewed publications and remains actively involved in local conservation outreach. At Biocos, the current focus of research and conservation program is on common leopard, snow leopard, red panda, mox deer, and other pheasants from the Himalayas. So I'd like to invite Dr. Paras to deliver his words on the ecological coexistence of two apex predator. And if you have any questions regarding the sharing, please raise your question on the chat and we will try to answer just after the end of the session. Yeah, Dr. Paras.
Thank you. Thank you, Pawan. So how much time I have actually?
So you will be presenting for up to 3 p.m.
Okay,
Nepalese time.
okay, I will go then, I will go slowly. So I would like to, explain more. So I like to welcome all of you from the different part of the world. So I am now talking about two leopards, one landscape, pattern of coexistence in the Trans-Himalayan region, Annapurna Conservation Area, Nepal. So talking about, the background of the study. So, I actually started to work on the back of the Himalaya. That is back to 2009 actually. So I went this area for the first time, and it is on the in the back of Annapurna Range. From here we see all the Himalaya range on the south part, and the area is located within the Annapurna Conservation Area. in Manang district. So talking about the area, the valley is actually located above 3,000 meter. And so what's happened, I actually doing my PhD on moxed deer, and that time, for the first time, we recorded the common leopard in the forest. That is quite obvious, but that time, most of the even I and other conservationist researcher, experience, the photographer, everyone were thinking, why common leopard on that altitude? Maybe it's all because of the climate change, and maybe that is the wanderer, why the leopard is in that altitude, in that the the photo here is shot, actually captured on nearly 3,700 meter in 2016. And at the same time, we got a common snow leopard in forest. That is actually smelling mox deer Latin side. So we found, common leopard and snow leopard on the same inside the forest. And then, later, before than that, I think East Leopard Conservancy, they captured a common leopard from nearly 4,100 meter nearby the study area. That is not far from the study area, actually. And then later on, there are many studies done in Mount Everest area, in on the diet of common leopard and snow leopard, and then other camera trap. And recently, due to the easy access, camera trap become quite popular. So that's why, capture of common leopard it became quite frequent. And in my study that I started in 2016 for mox deer for my PhD study. And then we actually captured, we set the camera on latrine side, and we captured common leopard visiting there, isolized issue leopard visiting there. And then that actually the study on mox deer was to study behavior. So that's why, during my study on mox deer, we actually captured common leopard and snow leopard. And then, this study actually continues for 3 years. And during that time, we quite frequently capturing the common leopard. Then that actually make, some questions over why these two leopards are existing in the valley. And then other record also in India, and then in Bhutan, common leopard actually recorded quite higher altitude. And due to that, the common leopard is quite generalist. So they are, they found in even, scorching heat of the Africa, and then India, and then other region like, southern part of Nepal, where actually lowland of Nepal to the highland. So that's why, the record of common leopard in higher altitude in different region, and because the leopard is more generalist, so that's why it can adapt in different kind of environment. That what I thought. And then I plan to study more on that, and we set a team for a research team. Then, from 2016 to 2000 actually 21, we had been setting camera for different kind of study. And then Then we found, common leopard and Inisto leopard quite frequently on our camera trap, actually set for our research purpose. Some are for mox deer, some are for Inisto leopard. And then as we know, the coexistence of multiple species of predator is mainly determined by definitely the different the space they actually use, and the richness of the prey, and what kind of actually prey species they prefer, and other is the body size and their nature as well. So this factor result in the social dominance and the structuring of predator community in similar habitat. So it's a quite recently we got the clouded leopard in the habitat of the common leopard. So I think that is quite common thing, having those. And but with the snow leopard and common leopard, it becomes quite interesting to us. And then we set a detailed plan to study on the both species. So the coexistence of leopard and snow leopards is particularly interesting for several reasons to us. The first is the similar size, which is choice of similar prey species. And secondly, they are adapted in different habitat. Leopard being a more generalist, and snow leopard being a specialist living in the higher altitude and above in alpine region. And then other thing, we are much interested because of the most of the record in the Himalayan region, and though these are become quite frequent in recent decades because of the camera trap that we actually think. And then what we third, better to talk with, why not plan a research so that we can figure out actually how long common leopard is existing there. When I visited, in 2010 in the altitude of 3,500 meter, people were talking about black panther, black common leopard. So that's why we are actually hearing many evidence from the local people that common leopard is actually existed in the higher altitude. So that's why we came with this research. So then here this is our recent capture that we made. Actually, this common leopard has been living in the area since 3 years. So research. So then we came with the research question, that is is common leopard a permanent resident of the higher Himalaya, and does it share or overlap habitat with the snow leopard? That is our big questions. And then to understand this, it is very difficult at first, and we figure out how to capture the historical data of the common leopard presence. So that is quite challenging for us. And then we came with the idea, because people are actually they are actually have been they were actually keeping livestock since many 100 years. So that's why people know, local citizens, senior citizen must know the presence of common leopard in the region. So that's why we came with the idea of doing the camera trap to complement our data from 2016 to 2021. Then we figure out where these two leopard likely to be coexist. So that's why we figure out we actually set a study area in the valley. And then other question would be what could be the ecological and environmental factor that contributes the presence of or coexistence of these two leopards. So here is our study area. It is located in the Annapurna Conservation Area. That's Niseng Valley in Manang. That's on the back of the actually back of the Himalaya. So we can see the valley. This is the valley actually, all surrounded by the Himalaya. So this is the Annapurna range, Annapurna Himalaya range, and there is other Himalaya in this side. That's Julu West, Julu East, we call that. And then we can see the valley. The river is flowing, from actually west to east. And then this is the overall the structure of the valley, how valley is located. So on the Annapurna Himalaya, on the southern northern aspect there is a forest, but in the southern aspect area is quite scrubland and open forest type. So this is the actual the Trans-Himalayan region. So we studies on the back of this Annapurna Himalaya range. So this is the Annapurna Himalaya range, and that has one mountain above 8,000 meter. And then we are back of this whole Himalaya range, and the river actually crossed this valley, so it actually crossed the Manasulu range and Annapurna range, and the pass through from the Trans-Himalaya to the front of the Himalaya. So here, then we actually discussed in our team. We discussed so how to do the research, for the research on that. Then we actually reviewed the other studies as well as mine studies. I think if you see, the camera traps, that is actually we started there. That is and the National Trust for Nature Conservation. When I was working there, then we started the camera trapping at first. That is on 2010, I think, and that we started with the two cameras, and that is really impossible to capture all the animals there. So we then later I started the research on the moss deer, and at the same time there was a research by the National Trust for Nature Conservation for counting snow leopard, for estimating population of snow leopard. So we actually reviewed those, the images where snow leopard and common leopard captured. But interestingly, the common leopard and snow leopard were captured inside the forest. That is quite interesting to us. And then to complement this data, then we plan a detailed study in 2022 and 2023. And then we also plan to use the data from citizen science. So how local people are observing. Then we selected the key informants, and comprising 9 livestock owner and livestock owner and senior citizens who were actually the owner of the livestock. They actually the orders in many years. So it was quite challenging at first, because in the valley, the people from the valley, Manangi people, actually they got a privilege of passport. That is, I mean, the visa, a special passport and visa from the late king of Nepal. And then there was huge migration in the valley. So that's why it is really challenging for us to find the senior people. And then we actually talked with the people who are now living in the valley, and we actually traced where the other people are who uh, actually they were doing doing the animal husbandry in 1960s, 1950s, and that time. So then we figure out the research, asking with the key person of the valley, as well as some researcher, conservation officer, ranger, and we talked, and then we selected the informants for our interview. And then to complement our the random data that is on for the different from the different studies, mux deer studies, and some studies focused on snow leopard. And to complement that, we set 18 trail cameras on the camera mode from October to December, January to March, and November to December in 2023 in an area actually where the chance of likelihood of getting both leopard. And then after that, record of we actually record of different habitat parameters. We collected those data on altitude, slope, and distance to parcel, and these are actually the factor likely to cause attract both leopard. So that's why we select the area, and then we divide that area into different grids, and then we set the cameras. And the camera were set based on the scraps and different signs that we thought that it is the likelihood of getting the leopards. So, so let me start with our result, what we got from those, So this is actually the first camera trap footage from the valley in 2016. And if you see here, from that time to 2023, I have presented here on the bar diagram. So what we see is so common leopard is recorded in different altitude. Isolized snow leopard also recorded in different altitude, but the record of snow leopard is quite higher in the high altitude area. But if you see here, there is the snow leopard is recorded on 3350 meter altitude, nearly 3400-meter altitude. And this is the winter camera observation. Actually, this is not the summer observation. So winter observation is very important, because how common leopard is adapting the winter. So I mean, how they are. We actually think about only snow leopard can survive in the cold, right? A cold environment. But why is common leopard is there? So that could be interesting. So that's why we actually we were focused on the winter data, winter time, rather than the summer time. Summer could be, we can say common leopard can go up, to because lower altitude become more hotter during the summer. That's why common leopard can go on the higher altitude. That could be the good reason. But the winter data is so important, because so if common leopard living on that altitude, that means the common leopard it must have a capacity to cope with the cold environment, harsh environment, that goes, I think, minus 80, 18 in winter time. And then then we comes with we also talk with the people, and then we actually draw a participatory map, and then we figure out when actually common leopard is actually was found, and then with the location and approximate time of the approximate month, we talked with the people who knows both common leopard and snow leopard so well. And then we found that the common leopard actually recorded in 1958 in the village that is located at the altitude of 3300 meters. And then so that time, if you see the historical record of common leopard, it's almost that actually says from 1958 to 2022, people are actually observing, actually encounter with the common leopard. So here we can see the different locations of camera trap and then locals informants. This is the map we draw. We actually draw from. We drew from the information from the locals and camera traps. So this is the we actually cover the whole range of the valley. So this area is this Tilichu base camp area, and this area is actually on 33 in the it is the east part of the valley, and that is the west part and north part of the valley. We cover the whole range, and then we also use the other area, different high altitude that we actually captured the common leopard. And if we see here in this picture, so we can see, so how the proportion of occurrence, I mean, how common leopard and snow leopard are occurring in different altitude. And if we see here, we can see the clear overlap between common leopard and snow leopard. But in the higher altitude, they are not overlapping. And the thing is, so if we see that here, this figure actually prepare based on the data that we capture from the 1958 to recent, I mean 2023. And then, so we actually captured common leopard 17 times and snow leopard 43 times. And both leopard are captured in the same camera station below tree line in the open forest area. And if you see the temperature, here we captured common leopard in January. And then the snow leopard on the same time, I mean, in the January. And if you see here, both are active on the night that time, and temperature is in both cases, -4 degrees centigrade and -6 degrees centigrades. Then other years, the common leopard actually also found in December 25th. And when the common leopard, snow leopard is actually this captured on the October, and on the same location. And here in the March we captured common leopard and then the snow leopard, and these are the footage that I'm presenting here that are really good. There are other footages that we have actually captured. And this is I think the day difference is not that much. 1 day difference, 24 hours of difference. We captured common leopard and snow leopard on the same camera. And here are some, other evidence that is from 2017, and then that is comes to 2022 and 2023. We caught the common leopard and snow leopard in the same camera station. And then, a total of 67 observations from different sources. Then we actually figure out how these guys are actually overlapping, how the symmetric needs overlap. We an asymmetric habitat overlap, and we use a Bianca index for that, and but that gets 0.77 is a proportion, let's say percentage, suggests that the relatively high symmetric niche overlap between the common leopard and snow leopard, indicating that these species share similar habitat preference or utilize similar resources within their habitat. And other is asymmetric habitat overlap. The asymmetric habitat overlap is measured by the MacArthur and Levis index indicates that the only 60% of the common leopard habitat use is overlapped by the snow leopard. This suggests that the good chunk, 39% of common leopards, are unoccupied by the snow leopard. Snow leopard were captured 20 times in forest and are significantly higher frequency compared to the common leopard, which were captured in 14 times. So this is actually, shows that the snow leopard is quite good utilizing the forest area as well. And here is our map that's showing, the overlapped habitat and the common leopard habitat and snow leopard. The green one is common leopard habitat, and other one, if you see that this light gray, that is snow leopard habitat, and this is the overlap region on the check this cross area. And then, I'm gonna show you how common sisal leopard are actually utilizing the blue pine forest. So here is the video that actually sisal leopard marking on the tree. So that's why these guys are actually utilizing, forest area, and we found there are other, they are also utilizing Himalayan birds to rob chicks, and that's how, actually they are utilizing the forest trees to mark their territory. That is really vital. These guys are actually common leopard are using forest area. And then comes with the, after getting all these things, we came with the idea that record of the common leopard is not the recent event. Actually, that is actually we recorded those, from the historical accounts that with common leopard is present in the high altitude of above 300 meter, in the valley in 1950s, 60s, and 70s. And then this could be a good questions, how we actually trust this data is valid. And this is because, there is a tradition in the village, and people can remember those incidents because when people, when anyone kill predator that time, they were actually there was a big celebration in the village, and that's why our respondent remember well where those incidents were actually happened. And then other case is other years at that time there is no any conservation areas, there is no any strict rules for the conservation, I mean laws enforcement. That time there is no such laws actually, because we have Wildlife Conservation Act in 1973. And the other years, these locations are within the proximity of, the camera that we set, actually the close to those locations that people were actually said us that we saw those leopard there, and then we are also, capturing common leopard in those locations in our recent studies. Then we documented winter sighting of common leopard over 80 years period in areas where the temperature dropped below freezing point, indicating that the common leopard is good at resilient to forage in an extreme cold environment. And observation of both adult and juvenile individual in our camera station in two locations indicate that breeding activity is also the valley is breeding ground of common leopard as well. So that's why the common leopard are well adapted to high altitude cold environment. And the several prior study have reported that common leopard exhibit high resiliency and tolerance to the wide range of temperature. And so here that we recorded the juvenile common leopard in 2023, and that is on the February 21. That's all. That is in between. February is the quite winter time in the Himalaya. And then, one of photographer, quite popular photographer, Tasiar Khaleh, he recorded, the common leopard, the cubs. I think these cubs look like, 6-month old, and that actually captured on January. And then we, after getting the evidence of common leopard and snow leopard actually try living in the same valley, coexisting in the same valley, and then we figure out what factor actually impacting to what factor is actually impacting co-occurrence of these two leopards. So that's why we actually perform a logistic regression model and using the first bias reduction method. And this is the method because our capture co-occurrence of common leopard and snow leopard in the same cam on the in the same camera station from the same camera station is very very rare record. So that's why we perform this logistic model using the first bias reduction method. And then we came with the idea of, what factor affecting the co-occurrence. And definitely the distance to pasture land is actually, we found quite positive with the co-occurrence. And it's because I think the pasture land is the feeding ground actually for the both leopards, where domestic isolate the natural prey actually exist or graze there. And then the distance to snowline, and this also determine the availability of pasture land. So that's why it's the farthest distance to snowline. That means the more pasture land is available, more ground is available, feeding ground is available for prey species, and that means more habitat available for common leopard and snow leopard as well as their prey species. But talking about the distance to snow leopard, that means we actually measure that distance from the forest also. The forest itself is the the feeding ground for musk deer, which is and then the domestic animal, which is the prey species for both leopard. Then altitude comes. So altitude, I think that is the limit for the common leopard, and so that's why we get the some slightly negative relation with that. And then slope comes. If we see the slope, the probability occurrence with the slopes, it goes negative relation with that. And the thing is, so in our study area actually range from our plot are range from our study area is range to 2 degree and all the way that goes to 63-degree slope. So if you see that the common leopard actually they don't prefer and they are not good at the slopey area or cliffy area where snow leopard actually resides. So that's why there is some negative relationship. And similarly with the farmland, if farmland is far, then it's like the co-occurrence is co-occurrence has negative relation. Similarly, the distance to the open canopy, if open forest canopy has the negative relation with the co-occurrence. So close canopy, I mean the closer distance to the canopy actually plays a vital role affecting the co-occurrence of the both leopard. So our study actually draws a conclusion that the evidence from the camera trap and the report by the local suggests that the common leopard and snow leopard coexist in between the altitude. altitude of 3,100 to 4,300 meters in our study area. Actually, this area has some kind of vegetation, a forest, and some alpine crops there. And then the other leopard are recorded in the forest. Common leopard have not been sighted beyond the tree line and its crop vegetation. In our case, if we see, so common leopard, actually the proportion of occurring common leopard is the 88%, and leopard is occurrence is the 50% of habitat, or 50% of habitat. Our data shows that that is the proportion 0.88 for the common leopard and 0.551 for the leopard. And other region, I mean, other like 49% of the habitat that we recorded, snow leopard, that is this crop habitat. And common leopard is very less likely to record it on the scrub habitat. And the wild snow leopard are recorded, and common leopard have not been sighted beyond the tree line and the scrub vegetation. So common leopard have embedded alpine forest for many, many years. That is, we actually have drawn from our study. And the other is the coexistence of both leopard is influenced by the proximity to farmland and the ability of pasture areas where prey species can find food to sustain their population, and the distance to steep terrain. The habitat use competition could be for diet due to similar sizes and the presence of common leopard at higher altitude. And so we say, it's not because of the recent global warming. Definitely global warming have other impact, but these big cats, still would be, the movement of common leopard in the higher altitude. If we say that, it's all because of the climate change, I think it could be earlier speculations or earlier conclusion that the common leopard is moving there because these two big cats actually can adapt different kind of temperature. So if we see even that valley goes up to 22 degrees centigrade during the summer, and it goes during the winter like -18. So that's why this, and then the cat are very specialist. So that's why it's very hard to draw a conclusion that the global warming is actually now already impacted the common leopard and the snow leopard. So that's why we say we have from our study we can say that the presence of common leopard in higher elevation is not all related with the recent global warming. And then this is the common leopard and snow leopard that we captured at 40 to 100 meter on the backside the Annapurna 2, that is the mountain that is nearly 8,000 meter. And here, these guys actually that this leopard is both are the same leopard. We recorded this on 2023 and in winter time, and that is actually not winter. This is on the March, and that is recorded on December in 2025 at the higher altitude. And this guy is living on the valley. So that's all. We have published this research already in global ecology and conservation, and there's so you can go through that as well as if any questions. And I think I am very happy to respond to your questions. I think Pawan already has some questions from you all from all attendees. And then I like to thanks Department of National Park and National Trust for Nature Conservation and Guangdong Academy of Sciences, Great Plains Zoo, and our research team, and all the people who help us while doing this research. And talking about Biocos, actually, you can browse our website, biocosnepal.org. And now we are focusing on our research on red panda, iso leopard, and we also consider, pheasants. So pheasants are beautiful, and they are good indicator of the Himalaya. And then we also focus on the pheasant species and mox deer, and then we are working with the private partners on promoting snow leopard tourism in Manang district. And then there is a snow leopard camp is set up that called snow leopard heaven. It is more like snow leopard actually knowledge center from where people can experience how local people are interacting with the snow leopard, as well as how Annapurna Conservation Area and Biocos is working there for monitoring snow leopard. And then we organize, that is our event. We organize every year. So we organize the friendship match for conservation, and that is focused on yak and snow leopard. So we from this match actually that is actually a focus from the match is actually between the local youths and the people, the celebrities from the Kathmandu. So we organize a Himalayan snow leopard team that contains national football players, celebrities, and we visit the snow leopard habitat region, that's Manang region, and we play with the ad team. The ad team is from the local youths. So that's how we actually awarding people, and that actually is a huge. This is the mass awareness. This actually aware the school kids and the women groups and the people, local people, and the other national celebrities, and that's how we are doing. And then recently we are also using the lidar, doing the habitat, habitat mapping of common, I mean, mox deer and red panda using the lidar technology. And we are collaborating with Wisconsin University for that case. And then this is our team, in our different region. That is our one of the area that where we work. That's Annapurna, the front side of the Annapurna, and back side is the where we are working on snow leopard. And then this is the area we are working on the red panda. That's the Dhaulagiri region. The mountain is also 8,000, 167-meter tall, and that is the area where we are working to save red panda. And this is the Manang Valley where we are working for snow leopard. And this is the, how we play football with the youths in a higher altitude. And then this is the, our the Biocos Nepal, and then our the private partnership with to promote snow leopard based tourism, so that we can support local people. Actually, we are directly working with the hunters. So that's all from my side. So here is the video that actually provided by snow leopard camp. So you can see that, and then we can go for questions.
Thank you, Dr. Paras, and thank you all the participants as well for listening us. And I will directly go into the questions, and we have some of the few questions from maybe 5 or 6 questions yet. And uh, Dr. Paras, can you go through the chat section, and I'll just read out the question. So
Okay.
it's a question from Bharat Kasyap, and how three of them are morely related with the research, and we can discuss about the fourth one as well. So how did you determine the camera trap location section aiming to capture overlap? And the second question is, apart from climate change, competitions with other predator as factor.
So I think let's go one by one. That would be much,
Yeah, sure,
uh,
sure.
yeah,
So
much easier.
the
So we
first
are
question is
going.
how did you determine the camera trap location selection aiming to capture overlaps?
Yeah, this is actually, it's quite challenging for us at the beginning, how what because we have to work in the very top terrain, and then other thing is so how to determine it is a very difficult part of research, capturing these two elusive animals in the same camera station. So that's why it's all from our experience, with the different research that we have been doing since 2013. And then there was no enough data, to say that the both leopard are coexisting, but there was the records, every year. And then we figure out, based on the other study as well, that's have been doing in Bhutan and India. I think there are some studies done before us, and then and our experiment. Then we third, whether to cover area that's likely, between in reference to the tree line, basically. So let's see, uh, the coverage, based on the altitude that we got snow leopard within the habitat of mox deer, and then other years, the higher areas that is actually likely to get the common leopard. So that's why. And other reason is this valley actually we have done camera trap through Annapurna Conservation Area project, National Trust for Nature Conservation, and then they have actually not captured the common leopard in the higher altitude. So that's how we selected that stretch of the habitat, yeah. And we were limited by the budget as well. As that's why we actually selected a very defined area within the valley.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. And the next question is, what is the main prey base in the area? Prioritizing assumptions with relation to prey section. It's the third
Sorry,
one.
which one?
The third one by Mr. Kashyap.
The
What?
question is, could you go again with the questions?
Uh, so what is the main prey base in that area?
Oh, that is the mainly blue sheep. So number of blue sheep is quite high in that region, and other is mox deer, and then the yak and the goat, yeah, domestic animal.
So I'd like to go. I think both the question have similar kind of theme. So apart from climate change, is there any other factors that is shifting the leopards, common leopards habitat from downwards to upward?
Actually, we are not saying that. Actually, the common leopard is shifting up. Actually, common leopard is coexisting with the snow leopard. So, because our research says as the leopard is actually thriving in that altitude because it has quite good. It is resilient with the altitude, and if there is a forest habitat, and our research is at the same time showing, snow leopard is recorded in the forest in winter time. So the snow leopard also good at utilizing the forest. And then it is really good research how these two guys are actually not actually not, I mean, actually segregated each other or partitioning each other. So that's why, the other region, maybe local region could be different, there if I mean if there is anthropogenic pressure in the down area, they could move. Like the hydropower activities, development is going on in the various river throughout the region, and that may cause to shift off. But we don't say it's all because of the recent phenomena of climate change. And other reason is definitely the prey base. So if it's all determined by the how much prey in the particular area. And if there is no prey, I think leopards are moving in other area.
So here is another question. So mm, if how did you identify the individuals? If you have done that kind of research as well, can you elaborate it more in a more clear form?
This
So
research is not aiming to identify the individual, actually. This research is aiming to, the occupancy of the leopard. So that's why, we are not actually we were not focusing on the counting leopard in this particular studies. But we are also monitoring snow leopard with Annapurna Conservation Area project. And then we are counting leopard based on the marking. So how, the facial mark and other pattern in around I mean the fur color. So that's how we can distinguish that. But in this particular case, we don't need to do that.
um, I think yeah, there is another question like it's do you have any plan of tracking or coloring leopards and snow leopards and further examining its movement in the area?
That's the big question, I think, and we are not planning that. So possibly, other big organizations that are working in Nepal, they will hopefully it will be better to they would do this kind of research. But it's still, capturing animal and tagging, I think that's not a good idea. We have a different non-invasive methods to do that.
So yeah, here is another question as well. So how do you think how do you think which species may have denser population in your study area? Both of them are overlapping
So
is not only home range but also feeding time. Could there be any conflict with humans and among these two species?
yeah, there is huge conflict. So, there are other research has been done from the region. So maybe who is asking the questions they can refer those studies that is based on that is actually answering the human wildlife conflict in the region. So in our case, I think we are not focusing on that particular area, but the conflict is high. It's all because of the livestock depredation, and both leopard, but the blame goes to snow leopard.
Uh-huh. And maybe we will be taking the last question from here. And the another thing is more about the discussion about the maybe this kind of study, but any similarities between with the tiger population ranging upward in higher altitude, like can we relate this kind of study with the tiger population being shifting their habitat to upward in higher altitude?
So I think the shifting of a tiger in the upward and a higher altitude is all depend on various factor like so the carrying capacity let's say, now we have good tiger population in Bardia National Park. And if there is more competition, I think tiger like to go find the other area. That's the, extending territory or shifting from the territory of shifting territory, from one area to other area. So that may, actually instigate, the higher altitude movement. But the thing is, if you see the record of the tiger record in Bhutan is quite higher at I think I don't remember exact altitude now, but that is above 3,500 meter, nearly 4,000 meter, where
For nearly
leopard
4,000,
and
yeah.
tiger were captured in the same camera footage. And it's all because that is the same valley, extending to the north, from all the way to, the southern part in India. So there is all, there are many factors, I think. And these leopard, common leopard, and tigers are, adaptable with the terrain. So their sister species, like we say, let's see, the Siberian tiger, they are living in the very cold environment. So that's why, the shifting would be from the different region.
So it's almost the end of the question round. So going through the end part, so can you just elaborate? Yeah, it's not like the major section of your research, but can you just elaborate like the main threats to both the species in the Manang Valley and um, and what are your plans to do in further research in the Bonang Valley as well for the snow leopard and obviously with the coexistence of snow leopard and common leopard?
So definitely the threat is, I think threat are the people, I mean, human are the threats because the both leopard are the pest for the local people. For us, we as a researcher, they are the good matter of study. And but for local, they cares their animals because they have some, the economic livelihood is attached with the livestock, and as well as they have emotional attachment with their livestock. So that's why, when they get chance, they like to retaliate. That's the main threat for the both level. And talking about the main prey species, I think now we have to think about the prey species because most of the time our research focus on the predator because they are more iconic. They are like people. They are most of the people focus on the cat species, but the thing is, we need to figure out how actually their prey species are existing, how they can contribute for long term, the existence of, I mean, long term supplies, let's say sustainable supplies of food to the eastern leopard, so or common leopard. That is the actually, I think, matter of study.
Thank you, Dr. Paras, and I think we're almost done with the presentation and the questionnaire round. So, if can you please drop your mail address on the chat group so that if there would be any other questions, the participant would be questioning you through the mail, and you get contact with them as well. So, till then. Thank you everyone, and thank you very much for like listening us for an hour. So it's a pleasure uh, to share our research among the among the participants, and thank you very much. Thank you, Snow Leopard Network, and I think yeah, I'll hand over to the our host Raki. From here, you can please continue the program.
Thank you so much, Pavan and Paras. That was really an informative presentation, and so much of research has gone into this. It was amazing. So if anyone has any questions and would like to pass them on to either Pavan or Paras, you all can even email me and I can forward any questions or queries that you may have. It's very interesting to see the work that's going on in Nepal. So happy to pass on any interactions that you all would like to have further with either Paras or Pavan. So just email me if you'd like to get in touch. And thank you both once again so much. That was really, really interesting. I really chased you up to have this webinar, and I really appreciate you coming in and presenting to us.
Thank you,
Rakhi.
Rakhi.
Yeah, on YouTube.
With us.
This video will be on YouTube and on our website. So you
Okay.
can, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rakhi.
Thank you. Bye.